is the only thing that you seem to know.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Tuesday, the 13th of July, and these are the WTF reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, holding the media's feet to the fire because they're not telling you what you need to know. And as a result, guess what, you folks in the mainstream media?
You won't be trusted anymore.
All right, welcome to the Taco Tuesday version of the WTF reports. I'm Dave vonKleist with the facts. WTF. Oh my gosh, we are facing so much treason right now. And I don't know where to even start. I will be giving out the phone number for your Congress and your Senate. You've got to call Washington. You've got to call. You have to. This is your patriotic duty. This is not a game, folks. They're playing. This is for all the marbles. Anyway, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the NDAA and the National Defense Authorization Act, and they are doing everything they can to shuffle the shells around so you don't know where to look. And this is not transparency. Your elected officials are on the verge of committing absolute, irrefutable, undeniable, pharmaceutical-grade treason. Let that settle in. You've got to wake up, folks. This is, if Paul Revere was making his ride right now, how many people would pay attention? How many people would call him a conspiracy theorist? How many people would attack him for disturbing the peace? How many people would disavow him and they would, block him or deplatform him or whatever? How many people would do that? Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who would because they're brain dead, because they're so wrapped up in FIFA. They're so wrapped up in the NBA and the coming football season and baseball and the movies. If I could set off the alarms, if I could make the red lights flash, if I could, have the sirens going off, I would be doing that right now. This is very, very important. And okay, I got a caller here. I didn't even give out the phone number yet, but that's okay. Caller, stay on the line there for a couple of seconds. I got to get some of this off of my chest. This is really important stuff, folks. Our country is on the line. This is not a game. Now, I will tell you, for you regular listeners, you know that I was talking about Section 224 of the the National NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. I contacted my senators. And I talked to Tim Sheehy's office. Now, Tim Sheehy, you may recall, about a month or 6 weeks ago, there was a hearing going on, and a former Marine stood up and started screaming. He says, this is treason. You cannot be supporting Israel as they're committing a genocide over there in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. And as a result, he was being ushered out, and my senator, Tim Sheehy, grabbed this guy, and he was holding onto the door, and Tim broke this guy's arm. Now, I was pretty PO'd about that, and so I contacted Tim Sheehy's office in regard to the NDAA, and I told him, I told him there, I said, I want to know Mr. Sheehy's stand on Section 224 of the NDAA. I told them flat out, I said, this is not in America's best interest to merge the United States military with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. And I contacted him. I said, I want to know what your stand is on this. I'm pretty PO'd right now. But anyway, I got a letter back. It was about a month ago. Yeah, it was about a month ago. And in this letter, and I'll share it with you right now. Again, this is from Tim Sheehy's office. And again, I was very specific about the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 224. Anyway, I got a letter back, and it says, I read, thank you for contacting my office regarding our national defense. I appreciate hearing from you on this issue. The United States sits at a critical junction with our adversaries devoting more resources to their militaries and getting closer to us in military technology than at any point since the end of World War II. Anyway, he goes on to say blah, blah, blah. And in no part, nowhere does he mention Section 224. He says here, I have introduced the prototype of Production Act, Senate Bill 2135, the Buy to Budget Flexibility Act, Senate Bill 2138, the Expedited Delivery Act, Senate Bill 2137, excuse me, the Smart Pricing Practices Permanence Act, Senate Bill 2136, and the Procurement Reform for Immediate Military Equipment, the PRIME Act, Senate Bill 2139. This package of bills will provide the Pentagon with new tools and flexibilities to procure innovative new systems, provide for quicker testing of new capabilities, and follow up on purchases, and make common sense contracting reforms permanent. In other words, he just threw me a word salad. I am working across party lines to support competition among the industrial base, restructure procurement contracts, and eliminate wasteful spending. As the Senate navigates the National Defense Authorization Act, he actually mentioned it. Wow. And considers legislation related to supporting our warfighters, I will be sure to keep your comments in mind. Thank you for contacting me about this issue, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely, Tim Sheehy. You son of a bee! You bastard! I am so angry at him. I'm going to contact his office again, and I'm not going to make any polite accolades. I mean, this is the way they do it, folks. Now, I got to tell you, there's a lot of folks that are posting on social media, and I do want to share with you. And by the way, I do have a special guest that's going to be joining me in a few minutes. A gentleman whom I've known for over 30 years, and we're going to be talking about American sovereignty, the sovereignty of our country, and how important it is. And this is not a battle that's new. This has been going on for a long time. But right off the bat, I want to point out that somebody had asked AI, okay? Let me see, where did I have it here? I just had it. Oh, gosh, I got so many tabs open on my computer. I'm doing the research on this, research on that, blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get to that in a second. I'll tell you what, Dennis Kucinich had something to say about this, and I'm going to share with you what he said in regard to this national authorization. Here we go.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has taken credit for the legislation that was put into the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027. He basically said, yeah, this is what I want. Well, he wants it because he'll have the ability to direct the U.S. military. I mean, it's mind-boggling when you think about it. And this particular proposal, by the way it's structured, and you know, when I first heard about it, I said, I have to read the legislation, because let me tell you, folks who are watching, you have to read the legislation in order to understand its workings. And the way this is written, it puts the Department of Defense in the driver's seat over other federal departments, including state. And then this policy it runs through the whole government. This really, you could almost say this is a takeover. And you know, for some it'll sound hysterical, but the truth is that it is laying the groundwork for an entanglement that has never happened in the history of the United States. This is totally unprecedented.
Yes, if you recall, excuse me, if you recall, George Washington told us to avoid foreign entanglements. That's what he said. Now, are we going to listen to our founding fathers, or are we going to listen to the talking heads that are being pushed into our craniums at the mainstream media? This is insanity, folks. This is not a good thing. This is really not a good thing. So right off the bat, I want to give you the phone number for Washington. You can call your senator because they're going to vote on this week. Okay, write this down. 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. Now, the issue here, as I was just mentioning, originally this was Section 224 of the NDAA, but they've changed it. Yeah, because I printed out the NDAA and I looked all through it, and I found Section 224. I read it, and that's what prompted me to contact my senators, Steve Daines and Tim Sheehy. But you see, they very quietly changed it, so you can't keep up with the changes that they're making. So now it's Section 219. This is the U.S.-Israeli Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. Folks, this is going to give Israel control of our military. This is not a game. This is disgusting. And, of course, a lot of people have been really ticked off about Bibi getting $3.8 billion of U.S. aid every year. Well, now, bless his generous heart. He wants to, basically forgo that. No, we don't. We're gonna take away that $3.8 billion. Of course he will. He won't need it anymore. If he's going to take over our multi-billion-dollar military machine, he doesn't need $3.8 billion. As a matter of fact, Ian Wenster, he's a social media poster. He's all over Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and X. Anyway, he posted this. He put this quote out there from Bibi Netanyahu. Listen to this.
Bet you didn't see this.
I think that it's time that we weaned ourselves from the remaining military support and go from aid to partnership.
Yeah,
aid to partnership. Yeah, that's basically it. They don't need your $3.8 billion anymore because they're going to be in charge of your military. And you know what that means? That means that the IDF, can order our soldiers into battle. Now, what do you think the rest of the world is going to think if all of a sudden, they already know we're fighting Israel's wars, but if they're actually giving the orders, we're going to be facing some very serious ramifications here. This is so important, folks, because this is a battle that's been going on for years and years and years. As a matter of fact, one of our representatives, Josh Paul, is sounding the alarm. Here's what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Josh Paul from Renew Policy. In the coming days, the Senate is going to vote on a bill that includes language that would irrevocably entrench Israel's defense and technology ecosystem in our own military supply chain. Now, a group of senators, led by Senator Chris Van Hollen, have written to other senators to ask them to stop this in its tracks. What they are asking for is for senators to oppose the motion to move forward on this bill until they have a promise that there will be debate and a vote on an amendment to pull out this harmful language. We need your help to get that message to as many senators as possible. Tell them, no vote on the NDAA without a vote on Section 1217. Follow the link below to take action.
Okay, the link below is...
Hi, I'm Josh Paul from Renew Policy.
Okay,
in the coming days...
It's replaying here. The website is... excuse me, I keep having to clear my throat here. Okay, gosh.
Link below to take action.
Okay, the link below is a newpolicy.org/action-alert. A newpolicy.org/action-alert. Okay, this is time to get active, folks. This is not a game. Okay, and you'll notice he had a different number. There are several different things. Bills that are threatening free speech, NDAA Section 219. We already talked about that. It will create a permanent U.S.-Israeli military integration inside the Pentagon, covering defense, tech, cyber, AI, biotech, and intelligence. And also Tom Cotton, the Intelligence Authorization Act under Cotton makes intelligence sharing with Israel nearly irreversible, limiting future presidents' oversight. The IHRA definition bills would legally define certain foreign policy criticism as discrimination under federal law. And by the way, let me remind you that 36 states now have laws in place that if you want a government contract of over $10,000, you have to sign a loyalty oath to Israel. You have to swear that you will never criticize or boycott Israel. The campus anti-Semitism bills would use Title VI of the Civil Rights Act to restrict foreign policy criticism on college campuses. They're clamping down on your free speech, folks. So yeah, Section 219 and Section 1217 are moving forward at the exact same time. This synchronized approach is a deliberate strategy to guarantee the initiative passes, ensuring that even if one chamber faces a massive public backlash, the policy will survive another. This is absolutely abhorrent, folks. This is not good. And I remind you that there were, I forget which group it was. I'm trying to think of the word. Journalism. Oh, there's the word. Journalists. Journalists in the halls of Congress going up to your members of Congress saying, excuse me, Congressman, is it Israel first or America first? And they scurry away. Now, if there should be no hesitation whatsoever. You're either American first or you're Israel first. You cannot serve two masters. And every single one of these congressmen scurried away as if they'd seen a cross. I hear you laughing out there. Okay, I got to tell you what. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a good friend of mine in the wings here. I've known this gentleman for over 30 years, and he was an inspiration, shall I say, when I first started my talk radio career. And I'm proud to be able to bring to the airwaves Daniel New. Daniel, welcome to the broadcast, and I'm sorry that I'm ranting so much. I'm just pissed off here.
I'm just enjoying the show. You're doing great.
You're on the side. Yeah, I'm just, I'm shaking it, boss. I'm shaking it. But anyway, we've been talking about American sovereignty for many, many years. And it was the actions of your son, Michael New, that literally brought me to tears when I heard that story. And that's why I first invited you to come on as a guest on the show when I was going under the air name of Dave Riddell. And this is this is in 1995, 31 years ago, folks. I had Daniel on as a guest, and his story had inspired me to write a song about his son. And I don't know, Daniel, would you like me to play the song first before we start talking about it?
Yeah, let's warm it up with that. That's great.
Okay. Well, again, the story was, just in a nutshell, Michael was an Air Force medic, and he was stationed overseas, and one morning he was given a new uniform to wear, and when he looked at the uniform, he says, wait a second, I can't wear that uniform. The Uniform Code of Military Justice forbids me to wear that uniform because the senior shoulder did not have the United States flag on it. It had the UN insignia, so that he would be taking orders from the UN. He said, I can't do that. As a result, they court-martialed him. And that prompted me to write the following song. And please indulge me, Daniel. I'm going to share the song. It's called A Patch of Green in a Sea of Blue.
A young man joined the service, thought he'd do his part. He loved his country under God, was true to his own heart. He knew he'd get an education, discipline, and growth. He had no hesitation when he gave his solemn oath. He gave a solemn oath. To my God and country, from now until the end, it's the Constitution I swear I will defend. Foreign or domestic, these last three words ring true. I'm defending my country. My name is Michael New. My name is Michael New. In uniform across the sea, on soil in foreign lands, with dedication, honesty, keen eyes, and steady hands, fulfilling every duty with patriotic love, until the day an order came from officers above. From his officers above. The color of the army is a military green, but the uniform they gave to him was like one he'd never seen. The shoulder bore a UN patch, a distinctive shade of blue. No oath to a charter, to my country I'll be true. To my country, I'll be true. To my God and country, from now until the end, it's the Constitution I swear I will defend. Foreign or domestic, these last three words ring true. I'm defending my country. My name is Michael New. Yes, my name is Michael New. On Tuesday morn, October 10th, inspection of the men. By Finland's General Ingstrom, he had to look again. The traitorous eyes of officers stared down at Michael New. A single patch of green in an endless sea of blue. A single patch of green in an endless sea of blue. To my God and country, from now until the end, it's the Constitution I swear I will defend. Foreign or domestic, that final word rings true. Yes, I'll defend my country. My name is Michael New. To our God and country, from now until the end, it's the Constitution we swear we will defend. Foreign or domestic, that final word rings true. Yes, we'll defend our country, just like Michael New. America is watching, all eyes on Michael New. You set a fine example. God bless you, Michael New.
Wow.
Whoa. That brings me back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's always emotional. It's an emotional song, and one of the things I like best about that story, Dave, is how you came to write it and where you were when that phrase started going through your mind, and what you did as you came down off the attic of this, or the roof of the ceiling of this building, this house you were building.
Yeah.
And started writing on a scrap piece of 2x6.
Yeah. That's exactly right. See, I was
single patch of green.
Yeah, I was. I had interviewed you, and I was so moved by what Michael did that the next day. See, I had a day job, and I was working with a roofing company, and we were framing and roofing, et cetera, and I couldn't stop thinking about the interview and what Michael had sacrificed to stand up for our country and the sovereignty of our nation. And we were at our morning coffee break, and I picked up, like you said, a piece of scrap wood, and I had my carpenter's pencil, and the lyrics just came to me. I hadn't written songs in a long, long time, and this lyric just went line after line, and I looked at it, and I said, oh, my gosh. And so that night I went home, and I picked up the guitar, and the chords just came. And if you recall, I called you up the next day. I said, Daniel, you got to join me again. I have something for you. And I donated the song to the cause. And
Right.
And this is what inspired me. I mean, I don't know. It was act of God, inspiration. I don't know. But I hadn't written anything in years and years and years. And the lyric just came out of nowhere. The chords came out of nowhere. And that's how this song. And it was the first of many patriotic songs that I put together over the years. And I thank you for the inspiration, for basically kicking my emotional and musical butt. So, anyway. And the reason I wanted to have you back again is because we're facing the same issue now. It's even worse now. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. The parallels of what he was foreseeing in his ignorance, just in his basic understanding. I'm not wearing that symbol over my American flag, but there's so much more to it than that. It was kind of like a blind hawk finds an acorn now and then. Mm-hmm. But he was right. He was touching the issue that was going to continue to come down the road, and now here we are with a full-blown issue of sovereignty. Who are we?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that Trump has recently pulled out of the WHO, which is a move in the right direction. I'd like to see him withdraw from the UN, and we all know who was behind the creation of the UN, and it was built on the Rockefellers' stockyards, as I recall, in New York. The land was donated by the Rockefellers, and that's where the UN ended up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So anyway, well, let me ask you this. Of course, you're no stranger to the issue of American sovereignty. This is why, why you became a keynote speaker, and during the 90s, you and I were traveling all over the country at, you remember the preparedness expos and all that stuff that was going on. But you were a trailblazer in trying to alert America to our sovereignty. And now this issue has been brought right back to our face again, and this is even more dangerous than just the fact that we're member states of the UN. I mean, to have our country basically being turned over, the military being turned over to Israel. They say it's a merge. Yeah, no, it's not a merging. No, this is a takeover. How do you describe it?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, how would you describe what's happening? Would you call it a takeover or a merge?
I find the issue seems to be tangled up with the whole supremacy clause in the Constitution, which in the beginning it was understood that the treaties that we passed were to be subject to the authority of the United States, which is to say the Constitution. And the treaties become supreme law of the land only if they are consistent with the Constitution. But now, today, the popular doctrine is that if Congress passes a treaty and the president signs it, then it becomes a supreme law of the land over and above the Constitution. It displaces the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And that's a very dangerous doctrine.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the sad thing is that we have been hoodwinked, we've been lied to, we've been manipulated, we've been propagandized for years and years and years by the very people that we are supposed to trust. And I want to point out how we've been manipulated. And I was talking to you earlier in regard to how our elected officials are manipulating everything when it comes to Israel. Now, a lot of Americans weren't even paying attention until this October 7th Hannibal directive occurred. And I want to play a couple of clips here. And Mike Huckabee, it's okay to make a mistake. But when you make the mistake a second time and you make the mistake a third time, this indicates intention. Now, I want to play a couple of clips from Mike Huckabee. Okay, here's Mike Huckabee misquoting scripture. Okay, here it is.
So for me, and most evangelicals would say the same thing, we're people of the book. It's simple. So if you read in Genesis that God blesses those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel, this gets pretty easy. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he said that the Bible says, God said those who bless Israel will be blessed, those who curse Israel will be cursed. And that wasn't the first time he said it. He said it again.
In Genesis 12, those who bless Israel will be blessed, those who curse Israel will be cursed.
Okay, well, what do they say? Three's a charm. Here he is for the third time. Where is it? Oh, something happened here. Oh, gosh, let me see. Okay, I messed up on that audio clip. But trust me, there's another one here. But it wasn't just Mike Huckabee. It's also Ted Cruz. Here's Ted Cruz.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Okay, well, we've talked about this on this show numerous times. That's not what the Bible says. God was talking to Abraham, and he told Abraham, I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. He wasn't talking to Israel. As a matter of fact, Israel, the word Israel didn't come up until God wrestled with Jacob. And then God asked Jacob, what is your name? And Jacob says, I'm Jacob. He says, from henceforth you will be known as Israel. So Israel was a person. And Jacob had 12 sons, hence the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, I'm not here to evangelize or Bible beat or anything like that. But if you're going to utilize Scripture to promote a cause, and you're misquoting Scripture, that means that you are a liar. Do you disagree with me, Daniel?
Absolutely not. I agree 100%.
Well, where's this
selective.
taking?
I mean, they'll take a phrase. This is so common in theology. Mm-hmm. Take a phrase that you like and build your whole system of theology on it, and leave off the second half, which in that case was, if my people, will keep my commandments,
right,
then I will bless them. It's a conditional promise.
That's right.
If then.
That's absolutely right. So the point is that, there was a contract, if you will. Okay? God gave us the 10 Commandments.
Right.
Yeah, it's a contract. I gave you 10 Commandments. If you abide by those commandments, then you are God's chosen people. Okay? I will bless those who bless that. And the thing is that over the centuries that followed, people started to move away from those 10 Commandments and thereby break the contract.
In the meantime, Dave, what were they chosen for? Were they chosen that they could reign and rule the world, or were they chosen to bring the Messiah to the world?
Well, maybe they were chosen to receive God's blessing. And I think this is long before the Messiah was even a question. But yeah, he said...
Well, the Messiah, though, is built in from the beginning because it's the whole purpose of creation in our point of view. And certainly, it wasn't like God suddenly had this idea, I think I'll send a Messiah. But just like Mary was chosen to give birth to the Messiah, what a blessing. The Jewish people were chosen to bring about in the fullness of time, over many historical actions, to bring about a situation where the world was ready for the Messiah, the fullness of time. And they brought him forth, and then they rejected him.
Well, is it possible, and I was talking to you about this earlier, and the analogy that I use is say, okay, our country just celebrated its 250th birthday. So I would have to ask, has our Constitution been corrupted? Has our government corrupted itself in the 250 years that have passed since its inception? And I think that the answer is a very clear yes. So if our country has corrupted itself over 250 years, I have to ask the question, is it possible that from the time that the 10 Commandments were given to the people, that in the 2,000 years that followed before the birth of Christ, is it possible that those Jews had corrupted themselves, or the overwhelming majority of them corrupted themselves? Remember, when Moses came down, he found the people had gone back to worshiping Baal. So I have to ask the question, in the 2,000 years from the time that the 10 Commandments were given to the Jews, is it possible that the Jews, or those who call themselves Jews, that they corrupted themselves? They went back to Baal worship and worshiping, shall I say, Lucifer? Is it possible that the Pharisees were PO'd at Jesus because he was taking them back to the original intent? And they didn't like that. You think I'm off base on this?
This is a semantics problem, and definitions are so important. But goodness sakes, God's chosen people are those who are obedient to him.
Yes.
And Paul makes it very clear in Galatians, who are the sons of Abraham but those of you who are in Christ. And that opened it up. I mean, that was the big nuclear bomb theologically.
Yeah.
That Gentiles could actually, that God would accept Gentiles. Because they already had gotten this elevated view of themselves that they were the superior race.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's deeds and not words, if he says, I shall know ye by your fruits, and I have to stop and think, the motto of the Israeli Mossad, and I have to assume the IDF, the motto is, and I quote, by means of deception thou shalt make war, unquote. Now, right there, that sounds like a commandment. That's their motto. Again, by means of deception. What is deception? It's lying. It's bearing false witness. So, by means of deception, so that's one mark, thou shalt make war. Now, war is murdering people, and that's another commandment. So, just in that one motto of the Israeli Mossad and the IDF, they are commanded to break two of God's commandments. Now, I ask, how could they possibly call themselves God's chosen people unless they serve another God who is the prince of deception? Your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Well, first of all, only on one aspect of it, I'm thinking that the commandment is mistranslated in the King James, where it says, "Thou shalt not kill." It says, "Thou shalt not murder."
That's right. That's why I said murder.
So,
right.
So war is not condemned, but killing of the innocent is condemned. This is certainly something that has never bothered the Israeli Defense Force to kill the innocent. I mean, they'll use children as targets for target practice. But and the genocide that's going on there now in Palestine is a travesty. And I say that not as a supporter of Palestine. You know, I'm not Muslim, and I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm simply thinking that genocide is wrong no matter who does it. It's wrong on both sides. And but deception, the IDF and Israel are very good at deception. The Zionists are exceedingly good at deception.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what they do. As a matter of fact, I want to back up here to this NDAA issue. I remember that Congressman, let me see, what was his name? Stutzman. Stutzman was over in Israel, and he was talking to Bibi Netanyahu, and then 3 days later he was back in the United States working on the Section 224 of the NDAA. And as a result, and I have a letter here that was written by Benjamin Netanyahu to Congressman Stutzman. It's dated June 1st of this year. It says, and I read, "I was glad to receive your proposed congressional resolution endorsing my plan to shift the framework of U.S.-Israeli defense cooperation from aid to partnership." In other words, this was Bibi Netanyahu's plan. He says it right here in his own letter, in his own words. This is not the brainchild of our Congress or our Senate. This was created by Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know if you knew about that or not, but I've got the...
No, I did not know about that, and I appreciate you informing both your audience and myself on that.
I mean, this is so horrendous what's going on. This is so important. As a matter of fact, I got another clip here. Let me see if I can play this here. This was posted on X by Derek Evans, and it's from the Coyote of Wall Street. And I read, it says, "This might be the most important post I've ever made. Congress just quietly slipped language into the NDAA that fast-tracked U.S.-Israeli biotech and biomanufacturing cooperation, even though Israel never signed the Biological Weapons Convention. Call your representative right now and tell them to strip Section 219. This is too dangerous to ignore." And let's see, I'm going to play the clip here. I think he's reading it. I haven't listened to this, but I'm going to do it on the fly. Here it is.
All right, I literally just took a break from work just to make this video. This is insane that we're having to talk about this, but we are. So I'm asking you guys to please call your member of Congress, whoever represents you. So Congress just quietly slipped language into the NDAA that fast-tracks U.S.-Israel biotech and biomanufacturing cooperation, even though Israel never signed the Biological Weapons Convention. I agree. We got to strip this out of there. This is insane. I am so sick of our Congress over here meddling with foreign governments. I don't care. It has nothing to do with which country it is. We do not need to be getting into cahoots with any other foreign country on anything, especially biomanufacturing and biotech.
Especially Israel.
Anything from COVID? Did we not learn anything from that? This is nuts.
Yes, it is nuts. Absolutely, it's nuts.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Anyway, hey, campers out there listening, get your paper and pencil. I'm going to give you these phone numbers again. You need to call your representatives. The House of Representatives phone number is 202-225-3121. Once again, the House of Representatives phone number is 202-225-3121. Now, if you want to call your senator, and that's who you want to contact this week because they're going to be voting on this, 202-224-3121. It's the same phone number. Oh, no, excuse me, no. Yeah, the Senate is 224-3121, and the House of Representatives is 225-3121. So this is important stuff, folks. If you've never called, now's the time to break the ice. You know, we've got to do this. If this is a government of, by, and for the people, and the people say nothing, well, you're going to get all the government that you deserve.
So little of the republic still exists from what was originally intended.
Oh, yeah.
And this is going to be this is a capstone. This is the keystone in the arch of destroying the republic and what was intended by the founders and what we grew up believing that we had. And I have to tell you, Dave, the movement for various and sundry states to withdraw, such as Texas, is appealing to me more and more. Do we or do we not have the right of self-determination? And it would appear that they don't think we do. But if we didn't have it, if we had it in 1776, we've got it today. If we don't have it today, then we were wrong to break off from Great Britain in the first place. So it depends on which way you want to go. You can't have both.
Well, that's true. And I remember when I was living down in Texas, there was a real push for restoring the Republic of Texas and to secede from the Union. And now there are more states that are even considering that. I mean, even up in Alberta, Canada, Alberta's thinking about seceding from Canada, becoming their own state, and maybe even joining the United States and becoming the 51st state. A lot of people all over the country and all over the world are starting to rethink their own sovereignty, and California is thinking about splitting up too.
If it's some little country that we don't care about, we support it, that they have the right to self-determination. But if it comes home to roost, then they don't want to hear it. That you don't have the right to even discuss it. But the Texas nationalist movement has over 600,000 supporters already in Texas.
Wow, I didn't know that. So the movement is actually growing again.
Absolutely.
Well, I certainly hope so. And again, it's not just Texas. Even the state of Washington, which is libtard central. Eastern Washington is thinking about setting up their own border and becoming, Eastern Washington.
Right, and Oregon as well.
Oregon, yeah. This is going on all over the country. So, as a matter of fact, I just came across another clip of Thomas Massey in regard to this Section 219 of the NDAA. Let me play this clip from Thomas Massey. Here it is.
I think what's even more concerning is in the NDAA Section 219, which is going to start commingling our military supply chains and technology with Israel's. It doesn't make sense to do that with a country of 10 million people. But they've got that in the NDAA. I'm told that's not coming up this week, but we know it's going to come up probably sometime soon. And so I've offered an amendment to strip Section 219, it was called Section 224, from that bill.
And you've had success in the past with discharge petitions to push legislation that leadership wasn't necessarily aligned with. Do you see that in the case of Israel, of these measures regarding Israel?
Well, they're going to give me a vote, so we don't have to do the discharge petition on the defunding in the State Department. As far as Section 219, that is a place where you could use a discharge petition, but you got to know that you're going to get 218 signatures, and that's rather difficult right now. We'll see how the defund vote goes. So.
Okay. So, by the way, I want to, as an aside, I'm sure you've heard about what's been going on with Mitch McConnell. And if Mitch McConnell is no longer with us, does that open the door for Thomas Massey to throw his hat in to become a senator? Do you see how that could possibly happen? And if so, how would that go down? What do you think? Hello, Daniel. Are you still there?
I'm sorry, I had the mute button.
Oh.
Yes, be still my heart was my first reaction. Wouldn't that be something to see Thomas Massey as the senator from Kentucky?
Well, I don't know how that would work. I mean, are they going to have a special election? And I find it rather curious that they're being very, very dodgy about Mitch McConnell's condition. Now, he may have already passed away, but they're not letting it out there. Maybe they're going to have him basically in the hospital for the next 2 or 3 months, so it's too late to get Massey in there with a special election. What do you think?
Well, they can always do it through a special appointment for the end of the term or until the next cycle.
Mm-hmm.
This is just what they've done with Lindsey Graham. Apparently, his sister is going to be appointed to fill his term. So,
yeah. Well, isn't that convenient? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So anyway, gosh, this is so nerve-wracking. It's so frustrating because there's so many Americans that can see it, but our elected officials, I don't know whether they've got their heads stuck in the ground or their heads stuck somewhere else, but they just don't want to hear from their constituency because the overwhelming majority of people that I know are very much against this. They're very much against Israel in general because of what's been going on for nearly 3 years now, the genocide. And, you know, a lot of people are only aware of it for, ever since the October 7th issue, but this has been going on since 1948, the Nakba.
Yep.
People are just now becoming aware of this, and there is an enormous, quote-unquote, noticing that's going on all over the world about, who these people really are. Are they really the biblical Jews, or are they imposter Jews from Eastern Europe? And you know what? I think you know what I'm talking about. Ashkenazi, I'm sure you've heard that word before. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that are that even if they were converts as Ashkenazi Jews, these particular Jews, for the most part, don't believe in God at all. So they can't possibly be God's chosen children if they reject God. They're atheists.
Well, yeah, I mean, the issue about Zionism, Zionism didn't come about till 1896. It was thunk up by Theodore Herzl, who was an admitted atheist.
Right. And the Sephardic Jews, who are descended from those Jews and of the nation of Israel itself, as they were taken off into captivity by the Assyrians, but they still retain their faith. And if you ask a Sephardic Jew, what he thinks of Israel today, they'll typically spit on the ground and just say Ashkenazi. They're dogs. They don't consider them to be fellow Jews at all. Mm-hmm. And that's why the Sephardic Jews are second-class citizens in Israel. They're not welcome. They're not allowed to participate in government leadership.
Well, that's true. And by the way, you're down in Texas. I don't mean to change the subject, and it's not really a change of subject, but it is a concern because there are a lot of churches, especially the mega churches. I remember watching John Hagee 30 years ago, and I was fist pumping in support of what he was doing because he was exposing the New World Order and the globalist agenda and all that. And then all of a sudden, he switched. And he was supporting Israel and supporting Zionism, et cetera, and all of the sheeple that attend his congregation just followed right along. And it's not just, John Hagee. There are many other evangelical preachers out there that have basically led their entire flocks astray. Do you see a lot of that down there in Texas?
Yes, I see it everywhere. And it comes from the dispensationalism that is still popular in most of these churches. But don't get me started on either denominations or mega churches, because that's another program.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I can't help but think of the old story. You probably heard about it. A guy dies, and he goes and he's sent down to hell. And he's sitting on the shore of the lake of fire. And as he's looking out across the lake, he sees thousands of bodies floating face down in the lake of fire. And way out there, there's a guy wading through the lake, and one by one, he grabs one of the bodies by the hair, and he pulls up the head, and he looks at the face, and he throws it down. And then he goes to another body, and he looks at the face, and he throws it down. And he goes looking after body, face after face. Now, the guy sitting on the shore is watching this in horror. And he calls out to the guy wading through the lake of fire, looking at these faces. And he says, "What are you doing?" And the guy looks at another face, and he throws it down, and he turns, and he calls back, "I'm looking for the preacher who lied to me." I can't help. I don't know if you ever heard that story before.
No, that's a new one to me.
Oh, okay. Well, the thing is, I can't help but think of all these preachers and deacons and whatever, who are lying to their flock, either knowingly or unknowingly. But the bottom line here is that, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. They've all been led astray. And, I can't help but think that all these people who are supporting, these Zionist Christians out there, they don't realize what they're doing. They don't know what they're supporting. So, it's heartbreaking for me.
So I don't think they're lying intentionally. It's a matter of ignorance. But to bring it back to the point, as you were making it earlier, American soldiers are about to start serving under foreign command, just like with Michael New, but much more subtle, because Mike threw up a roadblock to the New World Order, but it was not permanent. It was just a little roadblock,
Mm-hmm.
They found a detour now that's going to make it even worse. And instead of the UN, it's going to be Israel. And no matter what I'm not suggesting that the UN is better than Israel, but Israel, being a single country, is not handicapped by the problem of a couple of hundred nations having a voice. They have one voice, and they have one goal, one ambition, which is this greater Israel project.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is going to stand in their way.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And I was scrolling through while you were talking, and somebody just posted a meme and has a picture of George Washington. And then the text says, "Find your balls, America. We are Americans. We are a sovereign nation. We don't take military orders from Israel." Well, if these bills get passed, it looks like we will be taking orders from Israel. So again, I appeal to all the listeners out there, please make your phone calls. Call Congress. Let them know how you feel, because we are going to lose our country. This is not a game. This is not exaggeration. This is the real deal, folks. We have got to make a stand. We've got to stand up.
Maybe Mr. Massey can introduce a resolution or an amendment to the bill to change the name of the country to the United States of Israel.
Yeah, a lot of people are already saying that. So anyway, we're coming up. We've only got about a minute or two left. Tell the folks out there how they can get a copy of the book about your son, Michael New.
Okay. MikeNew.com, MikeNew.com is the website. Or they can send a message to me and through email at ddnew@mikenew.com. And we'll be happy to send a free copy to anybody on active duty. We do pay the postage, but if someone wants to send us $5 to cover postage, that'd be fine. But we still are making copies of that. The book is still relevant because the issues are still relevant.
Oh, they're more relevant now than they were then. I mean, we're on the cusp right now of handing over our sovereignty to a foreign entity.
It was 10 o'clock then. It's 11:59 now.
Yeah. So again, folks, give out your email again so people can contact you and request the book.
Okay, just I think send a message to ddnew, DDNEW at MikeNew.com. We'll be more than happy to provide books to active duty military, and we'll communicate and tell them how they can send us a $5 bill or something. But we're not going to let that stop us from passing from continuing to spread the word.
Okay.
And by the way,
oh gosh, the music started. I can't help it. Okay, Daniel New, thank you for joining me on the show today. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm begging you, call your members of Congress and your senators. 202-224-3121 or 202-225-3121. All right, folks. Daniel, thank you for joining me. I got to let you go and close out the show. All right. God bless. I'll let you go. Okay, folks, if you're listening on Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, or Facebook, you know what to do. Click, like, share, subscribe, spread the word by word of mouth. That's what you got to do. Anyway, I thank you for your listenership. I'll be back again tomorrow with more of the news they hope and pray you never hear. I'm Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF reports. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay free. And God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.